The early morning calm was shattered across Israel today, June 16, 2025. Just before the sun began to rise, the familiar sounds of life were replaced by the terrifying roar of incoming missiles. Iran launched a significant and coordinated attack, targeting two of Israel's most vital urban centers, the bustling metropolis of Tel Aviv and the critical port city of Haifa. This was not just a minor skirmish, it was a deliberate and powerful show of force. The attacks represent a new and dangerous phase in the escalating conflict between the two nations, a direct retaliation for what Iran calls Israel's preemptive strikes on its nuclear and missile programs. The world watched as the skies lit up, not with the morning light, but with the fire of war. The scale of the assault was immediately clear. In Tel Aviv, a city known for its vibrant culture and busy streets, the missiles struck with devastating precision. Several residential buildings in a densely populated neighborhood were hit, turning homes into heaps of rubble and twisted metal. The attack also came dangerously close to the famous Shuk HaCarmel market, a place usually filled with shoppers and vendors. Even the United States Embassy branch office sustained minor damage, a stark reminder of how widespread the impact was. Simultaneously, in the northern port city of Haifa, the strikes targeted critical infrastructure. Fires broke out at a power plant near the port, sending thick black smoke billowing into the sky and threatening the city's power supply. The destruction was not limited to these two major cities. The wave of missiles spread fear across the country. In Petah Tikva, a quiet residential street was transformed into a scene of chaos and destruction. Another missile found its target at a school in Bnei Brak, an ultra-Orthodox city, a place of learning turned into a symbol of the conflict's indiscriminate nature. The attacks were widespread, seemingly designed to cause maximum disruption and terror among the civilian population. Each explosion echoed far beyond its immediate location, sending a clear and chilling message of Iran's military capabilities and its willingness to use them directly against Israeli soil. According to Iranian state media, this is just the beginning. A senior general in Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, Mohsen Rezai, praised what he called a new method of attack. He boasted that Iran possesses undisclosed military technologies, hinting at further and potentially more destructive capabilities yet to be revealed. This statement adds a deeply unsettling layer to the already tense situation. It suggests that the recent strikes are part of a larger, calculated strategy, one that aims to keep Israel and its allies off balance. The fear is that this is not a final act of revenge, but an opening move in a much larger and more dangerous game. The true toll of these attacks is measured not just in damaged buildings, but in lives lost and shattered. The numbers paint a grim picture of the human cost. At least 5 people were killed in the Monday morning strikes alone, raising the total number of Israeli fatalities to 18 since the latest round of hostilities began last Friday. The number of wounded is even higher, with over 100 people injured in this single overnight blitz. Hospitals are overwhelmed with casualties, and medical teams are working tirelessly to save lives. In Haifa, about 30 of the injuries were reported, many from the fires and explosions at the power plant, showing how attacks on infrastructure have immediate and severe human consequences. Amid the chaos and sirens, the voices of those who survived tell the real story. "The whole building shook like it was an earthquake," said Sarah, a resident of a Tel Aviv neighborhood that was hit hard. "We ran to the shelter, but the sound was deafening. When we came out, our neighbor's home was just gone. It's a miracle more people weren't killed." Another resident, David, who lives near the market, described the scene. Media group, shattered glass on street, people screaming and running after explosion at it, stock at it, distribute _equally. There was glass everywhere and people were screaming. You see this on the news, but you never think it will happen on your street. We feel like we are targets in our own homes. The fear is constant. These personal accounts highlight the profound psychological trauma inflicted on an entire population. Emergency services were on the scene within minutes, but they faced an overwhelming task. Firefighters battled the blaze at the Haifa power plant for hours, trying to prevent a larger catastrophe. Paramedics rushed from one location to another, navigating streets littered with debris to reach the injured. In Tel Aviv, search and rescue teams are still carefully working through the rubble of collapsed apartment buildings, holding on to the slim hope of finding survivors. The response has been massive, a coordinated effort involving police, medical staff and soldiers, all working under the immense pressure of a potential second wave of attacks. Their bravery is a small beacon of light in a very dark time. The attacks have left deep scars, both visible and invisible. For every destroyed building, there are hundreds of people who have lost their homes, their sense of security, and their peace of mind. "We don't know where to go," one displaced mother told a local reporter holding her young child. "Our apartment is destroyed. We have nothing left but the clothes we are wearing. How do you explain this to a child? How do you tell them they are safe when you don't believe it yourself?" This feeling of displacement and uncertainty is now a harsh reality for many families who are facing a future where the simple act of being at home is no longer safe. The shock waves from the missile strikes quickly spread far beyond the Middle East, capturing the attention of world leaders and international bodies. Leaders gathered for the G7 meeting expressed deep concern over the dramatic escalation. They warned that this direct confrontation between Iran and Israel could easily spiral out of control, potentially igniting a much broader regional conflict that could involve other nations. The fear is that a single miscalculation, or a further retaliatory strike, could be the spark that sets the entire region ablaze. The international community is calling for immediate de-escalation and restraint from both sides, understanding that the stakes are incredibly high for global peace and stability. Adding a terrifying new dimension to the crisis, Iran has hinted at a nuclear threat. IRGC General Mohsen Rezai made a startling claim on Iranian state television, stating that Pakistan had given assurances it would launch nuclear strikes against Israel if Israel were to use its own nuclear weapons against Iran. While Pakistan has not officially confirmed this specific agreement, the statement alone introduces the horrifying possibility of nuclear warfare into the conflict. Pakistan is known to possess long-range missiles, such as the Shaheen-3, which are capable of reaching Israel. This development has sent a chill through diplomatic circles worldwide, as the mere mention of nuclear weapons drastically changes the nature of the confrontation. Pakistan's official stance has been more measured, but it clearly shows solidarity with Iran. On June 14, just before the strikes, Pakistan's Defense Minister Khawaja Asif called for Muslim unity against Israel and urged the Organization of Islamic Cooperation to convene a meeting. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif has also publicly condemned what he termed Israeli attacks on Iran. This diplomatic positioning, combined with Iran's recent claims, suggests a strengthening alliance that could further isolate Israel and complicate any international efforts to mediate the conflict. The geopolitical landscape is shifting, creating new and unpredictable alliances that could shape the future of the region. The importance of the global reaction cannot be overstated. International pressure is one of the few tools that might prevent further escalation. The United Nations Security Council is expected to hold an emergency session to address the crisis. Diplomats are working behind the scenes, attempting to open lines of communication and find an off-ramp before the situation deteriorates further. However, with both Iran and Israel seemingly locked in a cycle of retaliation, the path to peace is unclear. The world holds its breath, hoping that diplomacy can prevail over the drums of war, but preparing for the possibility that the worst is yet to come. For the people of Israel, the recent attacks have turned daily life into a state of high alert and constant anxiety. The psychological impact of living under the threat of missile strikes is immense. Simple routines like sending children to school, going to work, or shopping at the market are now filled with a sense of dread. The sound of a siren sends families racing for bomb shelters, their hearts pounding with fear. This is the new reality for millions of people, a life punctuated by moments of sheer terror and the gnawing uncertainty of when and where the next attack might occur. The feeling of safety, even within one's own home, has been completely eroded. The hope for a peaceful future, which many had held onto despite the ongoing tensions, now seems more distant than ever. Conversations are no longer about weekend plans or upcoming holidays, but about reinforcing safe rooms and preparing emergency bags. Every time my phone buzzes with a news alert, my stomach drops, one Tel Aviv resident shared. We are trying to be strong, to continue with our lives, but it's hard. It feels like we are just waiting for the next bad thing to happen. We want peace, but peace feels like an impossible dream right now. This sentiment is echoed across the country, a collective sense of fatigue and fear for what the future holds for their children. This climate of fear is precisely the goal of such attacks, which aim to demoralize a population and pressure its leaders. The Iranian leadership's rhetoric, boasting of new military capabilities and threatening further action, is designed to amplify this anxiety. For Israelis, The conflict is no longer a distant political issue. It is a direct and present danger to their existence. The question on everyone's mind is not if there will be another attack, but when. This constant state of anticipation is exhausting, creating a society-wide trauma that will linger long after the physical damage is repaired. Ultimately, the people trapped in this conflict on both sides yearn for a return to normalcy. They hope for a day when the skies are filled with nothing more threatening than clouds, and the loudest sounds are those of children playing in the streets. However, with leaders on both sides seemingly committed to a path of escalation, that hope is dwindling. The future is deeply uncertain, shrouded in the smoke of recent explosions and the shadow of a wider war. For now, the people of Israel can only wait, watch the skies, and hope for a diplomacy that seems increasingly out of reach, living one day at a time in a new and terrifying age of conflict.